brown sugar, Caro syrup, Southern Comfort, of course, salt, garlic, a little bit of cayenne, soy sauce, onion powder, garlic powder, olive oil, lemon juice, and water, and minced onion, and then so we'll go ahead and start. Got my saucepan here. I'm going to go ahead and add my sugar first. I don't have the heat on yet. But that's about 2 cups there. I'm going to add another 2 cups. There's about 4 cups of brown sugar in our saucepan. Okay. Just going to leave that there. Olive oil. Saute our onion and garlic together. So we're going to turn that on medium-high. Let that start. Alright, as you can see, I've browned this onion and garlic. Turned off my heat. I'm going to take it off my heat. Just kind of let it sit there. Come back to our 4 cups of brown sugar. Needs to be the dark brown sugar. And I've got our water here. We're going to use about 2/3 cup of water, but don't put it all in yet because you don't want it to be too soupy. So you just kind of add enough to get it wet and start to dissolve. Stir that in. And that's about the consistency you're going to want to start out with right there. Just enough to get it medium-low for now. We'll start adding the pineapple juice, which we've got a can of crushed pineapple. We're going to go ahead and add the juice from it. And it doesn't matter if some of the chunks fall in there because they're going to go in there eventually anyway. Not all of them, but a good portion of them. And again, we're on a medium-low heat. And you're stirring because again, you don't want that sugar to scorch because if it does, it's ruined. With about 6 tablespoons. Going to add our garlic powder to it. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of that. Our onion powder. Again, a teaspoon of that. Now we've thinned down our sugar so we can turn up our heat just a little bit to about medium, maybe a little above. We're going to try and some of that water is going to cook off. But again, you want to keep stirring, making sure it doesn't scorch or stick to the bottom. We're going to add our salt. It's going to be about a teaspoon of salt. So that's what it's looking like right now. As you can see, this is starting to boil, and it's kind of a crucial moment. You want to pay attention. It's alright if you lift it up off of the burner a little bit and let it come back down because it'll double in size, so it'll get away from you and spill out on your stove, and potentially you'll burn on the stove, which is a mess to clean up. So you want to pay attention so that it doesn't get away from you. Always stirring. And I'll show you what I mean, how it'll just double in size. So you want to have a deep pan to let it have room to do that. But again, don't let it get out of whack. And don't be afraid to pull it completely off the heat. You can leave it at the same temperature and pull it off your heat, and it'll calm down for you. So we're going to go ahead and add our soy sauce now. which we're going to add a tablespoon of soy sauce, maybe two tablespoons. Yeah, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, a tablespoon of olive oil, and we're going to add some crushed pineapple. Like I said, we're not adding the whole jar, just probably half of it. So we're going to return it to the heat. Again, keeping a close eye on it so as not to burn it. I'm going to add another cup of brown sugar. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and add our garlic and onion sauteed that we did earlier. We'll start adding our taro. We're going to start with a cup, and this is the dark corn syrup. So as this starts to thicken, you're really going to want to pay attention to it. Keep stirring it, keep it from scorching. This is not the time you want to walk away from the stove for very long. You leave this on the heat because it will burn. Now if you cook it too much, it starts to thicken up on you before you want it to. That's why you've got a little bit of extra water here to thin it out so that it doesn't turn into candy on you and burn to the bottom. And I add about a half a cup more to it of your dark corn syrup. Now, keeping in mind that this will be thin to a degree as long as it's hot, and once you starts to cool, it'll really thicken up. So you gotta kind of keep that in mind. That you don't want it to be super thick here because it'll just be a brick once it cools down. But you do want it relatively thick. Okay, what we're going to do also right now is we're going to add about 4 ounces of Southern Comfort to it. You got to be careful because it'll do that. That alcohol boiling off of there. When this is done, your alcohol content will be a nil because it'll boil it all off. The heat will. But you'll still have that flavor in there and some mild traces of alcohol. But really what you're going for is the flavor. It's not meant to have any real alcohol content to it. So as you can see, it's just bubbling nicely. Again, you want to keep stirring it, keep it moving. Let all that come together. And then we're going to go ahead and add another half a cup dark syrup. So as you can see, we've probably got 6 to 8 cups of liquid here. And that's a lot of sweet and sticky when you talk about what you're putting on. It's for like steaks, pork chops, you know, anything grilled. You kind of drizzle it over the top. And we're going to go ahead and pull that off of there, just the heat. Let it sit just for a minute. Let it cool off so it's not molten when I go to taste it. I don't burn myself. And then I'll judge whether or not I need to add anything else to it. I'm going to go ahead and taste this now it's cooled off a bit. Okay, it's sweet. I've got plenty of onion and garlic, pineapple chunks, or crushed pineapple. Teaspoon of salt. Tablespoon of soy sauce. Two tablespoons of lemon juice. Now return that to the heat. Get it stirred up, get it mixed in. Come back, give it another taste. Perfect. Now, I'm going to want to add my cayenne to it. Again, you don't want the cayenne to be so hot that you can't hardly stand it. So we're going to start with a pinch. And what I mean by a pinch is I mean a pinch like that. You don't hardly want to add too much right away, and then you want to taste it each time. And when you want to stop is when it starts to get, when you start to get that pepper taste to it, then you want to stop. You don't want to go any further than that unless you just like it blazing hot, but then it's not the same thing. So, mix that in a little bit. Almost. We're going to do one more pinch and that'll probably be enough. So, pinch. And what that'll do is it'll offset our sweet. Turn off our heat. And let that cool. You can freeze that. You can, which is a good idea. And maybe set a little bit off to the side in your refrigerator. And when you make a steak or a pork chop or a meat, anything grilled is usually really great. You just kind of drizzle that over the top, and we'll come back with something that we've grilled and try it out. So subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching.